Imagine a world where every physical need is met with the mere swipe of a finger across a screen. We live in an era of unprecedented comfort, yet we are witnessing a silent, growing epidemic of mental fragility. Our ancestors faced the raw elements of nature, predators, and the constant threat of starvation. We face the devastating emotional impact of a low-battery notification or a critical remark from a stranger on the internet. This is the great paradox of the modern era. As our physical environment becomes softer, our internal worlds become increasingly brittle. We find ourselves easily swayed by the winds of public opinion, shattered by minor inconveniences, and enslaved by fleeting pleasures that leave us feeling hollow. We have traded our resilience for convenience, and the cost has been our peace of mind. 2,000 years ago, and amidst the chaos of the Roman Empire, the philosopher King Marcus Aurelius envisioned a different way to navigate existence. He spoke of the internal fortress, a conceptual citadel within the human mind that no external force could ever hope to breach. He understood a fundamental truth that we have largely forgotten. While we cannot control the storms that rage in the world around us, we can absolutely control the fortifications of our own souls. This internal stronghold is what separates those who are broken by life from those who are forged by it. A weak mind is defined by a state of constant, exhausting reaction. It is like a leaf caught in a gale, tossed about by every emotional impulse and the desperate, hungry need for external validation. When circumstances are favorable, the weak mind is ecstatic. When things turn sour, it collapses into a state of paralyzing despair. It is a mind drifting wherever the current of impulse takes it. In stark contrast, a strong mind is grounded in the bedrock of reason. It is the immovable rock that remains still while the waves of chaos crash against it. It does not see an obstacle as a tragedy or a personal insult from the universe, but rather as the necessary raw material for growth. This is the essence of the Stoic path, a philosophy designed not for the classroom, but for the battlefield of life. The ancient masters, such as Seneca, who served as an advisor to the volatile tyrant Nero, and Epictetus, who spent his youth in the chains of slavery, did not possess a magical immunity to suffering. They felt pain, loss, and fear just as we do. However, they built a series of non-negotiable daily habits that desensitized them to the trivialities of the world and anchored their identities in logic. You might currently feel that your life is a series of fires you are perpetually trying to put out. The nagging anxiety over a future you cannot predict, the lack of focus that keeps you drifting from one task to another, and the heavy grip of procrastination are not inherent flaws in your character. They are symptoms of a mind that has not yet been fortified. They are the cracks in your fortress walls through which the enemy enters. In this exploration, we are going to dive deep into the 10 specific, non-negotiable daily habits that separate the resilient from the fragile. These are the rituals of the soul that transform a reactive, frightened mind into a proactive powerhouse. It is important to understand that mental strength is not about the suppression of emotion or becoming a cold, unfeeling statue. True stoicism is about the mastery of emotion through the clarity of logic. It is about standing in the eye of the hurricane and realizing that while the wind may howl, it has no power over your choice to remain calm. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. This journey requires a commitment to honesty and a willingness to confront your own inner weakling, that whispering voice that begs you to take the easy path, to stay in bed, and to choose the comfort of the familiar over the challenge of the unknown. The philosophy of strength is rooted in the unshakable belief that your character is the only possession that truly belongs to you. Your wealth, your reputation, and even your physical health are elements that can be snatched away by fate in a heartbeat. Therefore, the strong mind invests its energy only in what remains within its sphere of choice. By practicing these upcoming habits, you are not merely learning historical facts. You are undergoing a profound psychological rewiring. You are learning to use logic as your primary shield and discipline as your sharpest sword. The ancient world was a place of brutal uncertainty, yet men like Zeno of Citium found a lasting peace after losing his entire fortune in a shipwreck. He discovered that the mind can be trained to find opportunity in the darkest of adversities. These habits are the blueprints for that transformation. They are labeled non-negotiable for a reason. The second you allow an exception to your discipline, that you invite the chaos back into your citadel. Strength is a commitment that begins with the first light of dawn and does not end until the eyes close at night. To understand the architecture of this internal fortress, we must travel back to the birthplace of this ironclad and ancient philosophy. The story of the strong mind begins not with a powerful king, but with a survivor of total ruin. Zeno of Citium was a merchant who lost his entire fortune when his ship sank in the Mediterranean. Stranded in Athens, he did not curse the gods or sink into the depths of bitterness. Instead, he wandered into a bookstore, discovered the teachings of Socrates, and realized that his external loss was an internal opportunity. Zeno began teaching his followers on the ancient and revered Stoa Poikile, or the painted porch, a public space where philosophy was not just debated behind closed doors, but lived in the open air. This Greek foundation eventually traveled to Rome, where it evolved into a practical survival guide for some of history's most prominent figures. It moved from the porch to the imperial palace with Marcus Aurelius, and into the halls of power with Seneca. But perhaps its most potent expression came from Epictetus, a man who navigated the brutal reality of slavery before becoming a teacher of emperors. At the heart of their resilience was a single, revolutionary concept: the dichotomy of control. This is the ultimate filter through which the strong mind views every experience. The weak mind is constantly exhausted because it tries to control things that are fundamentally outside its power. It worries about the weather, the traffic, the hidden thoughts of others, and the inevitable flow of time. The strong mind, however, draws a sharp, non-negotiable line. It recognizes that while we cannot control external events, we possess absolute sovereignty over our internal judgments and our own actions. This realization is the beginning of true freedom. When you stop wasting your life force on the uncontrollable, you suddenly have an abundance of energy to invest in the only thing that truly matters: your own character and your response to the world. However, the Stoics knew that intellectual understanding is useless without repetitive, disciplined action. They called this practice ascesis. Modern science calls this neuroplasticity. The strong mind is not a fixed trait. It is a muscle built through the relentless rewiring of the brain's response to stress. When we repeatedly choose logic over impulse, we are physically altering our neural pathways. Epictetus, despite being a slave, understood that his masters could chain his legs, but they could never chain his ability to choose his own response. He taught that mental freedom is the only true freedom, because it is the only thing that no tyrant can ever seize. Similarly, Seneca lived as an advisor to the volatile and dangerous Emperor Nero. He practiced stoicism not in a quiet monastery, but in the center of political corruption and deadly intrigue. For these men, philosophy was a daily training ground, a gym for the soul where the weights were the hardships of life itself. This training focuses heavily on the faculty known as prohairesis. This is the uniquely human ability to pause between a stimulus and a response. It is the seat of the rational soul. While the animal instinct within us screams for immediate comfort, safety, and pleasure, the prohairesis allows us to step back and ask if a reaction is virtuous. A weak mind is a slave to its biology, reacting to every pang of hunger, every flash of anger, and every wave of fear like a startled beast. A strong mind uses the power of logic to govern these primitive urges. It recognizes that we are not our thoughts or our feelings. We are the observer who chooses which thoughts to follow and which reactions to validate. To further strengthen this faculty, the Stoics practiced voluntary hardship. They believed that if you only face challenges when they are forced upon you, you will remain fragile. Instead, the strong mind seeks out controlled discomfort to build resilience. But this habit of desensitizing the mind involves practicing poverty and hardship while things are still going well. By deliberately eating plain food or enduring cold showers, you prove to yourself that the things you fear, loss of status or comfort, are not actually life-threatening. You learn that your happiness does not depend on external luxuries. This creates a psychological immunity that protects you when real tragedy strikes. You are essentially training your inner weakling to be quiet by proving that you can thrive without modern crutches. By building this foundation, we prepare ourselves to master the specific habits that define the path of the strong mind. The sun rises on the internal citadel, and the first non-negotiable habit begins before your feet even touch the floor. This is habit 1, morning premeditation, adior premeditatio malorum. While the weak mind wakes in a haze of reactive anxiety, the strong mind mentally rehearses the day's challenges. You visualize potential obstacles, the difficult colleague, the project delay, or sudden bad news. By anticipating these frictions, you rob them of their power to surprise you. You are a soldier checking his armor. When chaos arrives, you simply nod and say, "I expected this." Once you step into the world, you activate habit 2, the dichotomy of control. This is a constant categorization of every event. You ask one sharp question: is this within my power? If the answer is no, like the weather or a stranger's opinion, it is discarded as an external indifference. If the answer is yes, like your effort and your response, it receives your absolute focus. This habit keeps your energy concentrated where it can actually change reality, preventing the exhaustion that comes from fighting ghosts you cannot defeat. To silence the inner weakling, you engage in habit 3, voluntary discomfort. This is the deliberate choice of the harder path. Perhaps it is a cold shower, fasting, or walking instead of driving. By practicing controlled hardship when things are going well, you prove to your nervous system that you are the master of your body. You are building immunity to fear, ensuring that if you ever lose your comforts, you remain unbroken. You are teaching your mind that it does not need soft crutches to be at peace. As the day draws to its end, the 4th habit transforms your bedroom into a court of justice, the evening review. You do not simply drift into sleep, but you conduct a disciplined audit. What did I do well? Where did I falter? This is not a ritual of guilt, but of a craftsman inspecting his work. Seneca practiced this every night, reviewing his soul like an accountant. By confronting your failures in the dark, You prepare to conquer them in the light of the next day. Interwoven through these hours is habit 5, selective indifference. In an age of constant noise, the weak mind feels pressured to have an opinion on everything. The strong mind recognizes that most headlines do not concern its virtue. You refuse to let your peace be stolen by trivialities. This is followed by habit 6, amor fati, the love of fate. You do not merely tolerate what happens. You embrace it as fuel. If an obstacle appears, you treat it as the exact material required for your next triumph. To maintain perspective, you practice habit 7, the view from above. When problems feel overwhelming, you mentally zoom out, rising above your city and the earth itself. From the cosmos, your stresses are revealed as microscopic specks in the river of time. This is supported by habit 8, speaking less. You prioritize listening over the need to be validated. By speaking only when necessary, your words carry the weight of careful thought rather than an impulsive rattle. The final 2 habits provide the engine for the soul. Habit 9 is memento mori, the constant remembrance of death. This is the ultimate clarifier. By acknowledging your mortality, you prioritize what truly matters and stop wasting time on vanities. This leads to habit 10, immediate action. You eliminate the gap between thought and deed. You practice the discipline of assent by doing the hard thing the moment it is identified. You do not negotiate with the inner weakling. You move with the decisiveness of a Roman legion. These habits represent the transition from a reactive existence to a proactive life. Strength is not a destination. It is the daily maintenance of these rituals. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If you commit to these practices, your internal fortress will remain standing long after the storms have passed. Which of these 10 will you implement tomorrow morning to start building your internal citadel?